Okay, well, welcome to the Node.js Technical Steering Committee meeting for August 22nd, 2018. Following our standard agenda as per the issue. So first of all, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share? No, if we don't have any announcements, then let's move on to the items tagged in the with the TSC agenda. The first one is number 22352, stream what WG at WG streams. Jeremiah did propose in the issue that we defer that to next meeting so that he has time to comment in the issue, because he's invested in, I guess, having worked on the new streams, he's invested in that and has a number of comments he'd like to make, just hasn't had a chance to do that yet. So I think that makes sense to me, unless anybody else thinks we need to discuss it this week. Okay, so let's move on to the next issue, which is FS feature detection for recursive makedir. This is 22302. I'm just going to open that up and we'll see if we have the person here who added it to the, or if you are the person who added it to the agenda, speak up. So I guess Miles added it to the agenda. In this case, I did look at it briefly early on. It's talking about feature detection, and there's a proposal for how to detect specific features, but there's quite a discussion going back and forth. Let's see, has anybody here been particularly active in the discussion?
I followed it.
Okay, so do you want to give a bit more of a framing, or?
So you probably know that we have landed on master the ability to create a directories recursively.
Yep.
It's also implemented in C++, and is like 30% or more faster than the JavaScript alternative, and everybody is happy with that API. However, that API has been landed with an option of a standard makedir. And the problem is that by using an option, it's impossible to feature detect this. So basically, there are a couple of techniques suggested, but it's none are really feasible and usable. So that's kind of the current problem. Now, Miles proposes to add this feature called this new symbol called util.features. I discussed with him a bit. I am not necessarily agreeing on the way this symbol is used, but that's a different story. Basically, there is this symbol, and this is basically what it enables our application to know if there is this or not. This approach has been pushed back by some individuals, and to the point that we have pulled makedir from landing in core from landing in Node 10. The problem steers about the fact that you can use because it's basically a new pattern, it complicates things, and so on and so forth. And having done a lot of this myself, it's very hard to get this thing moving. The reason why Miles pinged the TSC here, it's because he would like to see if we agree on the process of using that symbol to do feature detection on a function level.
Right.
The argument against that is we should strive to not have to rely on that.
Right. Okay. It sounds like unless people have strong feelings on it at this point, maybe we should take it back to the like I don't think we have enough of the active participants here to really come to conclusion. So maybe we should push it back to GitHub for a week and then discuss again then.
I am like, this is, I do agree generically. So the argument is this should not have be make dir, but should have been a function called make dir p on the on FS instead. So yeah, more or less that's
Okay, so I think it's, unless anybody else does anybody else have some things they want to add to the conversation today? Right. Okay. So Rich commented that he's also in favor of make dir p, but we need Miles to close it out. So let's defer to next. Take it back to GitHub, and if necessary, just discuss next week when we have Miles in the call.
perfect. Okay.
Okay. Just take notes and discuss next week if necessary. Okay. Right, so the next issue is process. Add resolve swallowed event 22218. Just opening up that one. I'm just going to see who added that to the agenda.
Ruben added it.
So that was added by Ruben.
This is where there are two alternative implementations between this and the one from DevSnack.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I think the question is what to do.
Right, I guess it's around the, yes.
So we need this. This event is needed for debugging promises reason. So I would invite both. I agree with Rich that proposed to invite Ruben and Gus next week to present the case substantially. The APIs they implement the same thing more or less in different ways, and they both disagree with each other. From a user perspective, they are very similar.
So basically, we can say they're very close, but not reaching consensus. Let's see. Yeah. So okay. So we can basically not very close consensus.
Rich proposed that we need a champion to gather all opinions and everything about this.
Okay, that's a different issue. So defer to next week and invite.
No, it's this issue. Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, so also we need to do what I did for. Okay, to do for that what you did for scope permits.
Yeah. So you need somebody that is a champion for this and helps in resolution, and somebody that is not doesn't have a vested interest on this.
Right. Do we have a volunteer from anybody who's here?
I can't because Ruben is a colleague. So
I guess I'll take the action to send out an email to see if we can
there
find
is
a volunteer.
Rich says I can do it.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Rich.
I'll act as. Oh, I spoke too soon. Right. Okay. So Rich is going to act as champion to gather bring summary / recommendations back to TSC. Okay. Util expose promise events. So that's the next issue, which is 21857.
It's the same thing.
Okay. So that is the same issue as this one.
Yes.
Okay, great. Password hashing API. So 21766. I know Chalker. I see. I've tried to promote Chalker. I still don't see him in the, like, I see one attendee, but he's not in the attendee list, so I haven't been able to do that. Which I know is going to be difficult for this one. Okay, so basically Nikita's commented that no updates yet, so let's defer. So that's okay. No updates, defer to next week. Okay, next one is 21654. Make underscore read throw error TTY writable not readable.
This has reached consensus. So I can talk briefly about it, but Anna retired her objection.
Okay.
The situation is that we libuv had so we were using an API wrong from libuv and causing some side effects on the node side, meaning that somebody could read from standard output, which sounds a little bit weird, but that was what was available. Mm-hmm. And they basically have made that check more strict.
Okay.
And unfortunately, this means that we can't read anymore from standard output from using libuv. Without a libuv API change or an ABI breakage, a new API or an ABI breakage, which doesn't look. And there's been an issue open on the libuv side, and no real movement for the last 2 weeks.
Right.
For the last 2-3 weeks, like there's been some discussion, but it doesn't seem like there is any hurry. However, our users that have been using that API are faced with a very, very bad error. So like something inotcon or something like that, which is very, very hard to debug. So, and even to know what's happening, what's going on.
Right.
So I am going to land this with the idea that if we get back that feature, we will revert.
Okay, if libuv updates in time. So basically, okay, so you're going to land and we'll revert if libuv updates in time.
Yeah, well, it is not in the if we get that feature from libuv,
right?
But the current situation seems unlikely that it will happen in a matter of weeks.
Right.
So. Okay. That is at least my understanding. Like I see no movement code-wise. So.
Okay, and this sounds like this, if nothing, just makes the situation better, right?
Yeah, this doesn't fix the problem. This just show people a real error that they shouldn't do this. Right. Like reading from standard output, even if it's possible, is it something that somebody should be doing?
Right.
Like.
Yep. Okay. Any other discussion or comments before we move to the next one?
Michael asked, can we land it as a server patch? So it's technically a network code change, so it's server major, but I will open up a pull request and tag Node.js TSC, and and we could use our superpowers to actually put it down into assembly patch in no time. But I put it in as assembler major because it technically is assembler major. But it was assembler major even updating BBB breaking back. So.
Okay, that sounds good. Just taking the notes to that effect.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions before we move on? No? Okay, next issue is buffer, runtime deprecate buffer constructor everywhere by default. Just opening that one up. And then I'm going to see who. Right, this one went back onto the TSC agenda. Just seeing if there's any new discussion. I see Rich definitely has commented. So I guess Rich's suggestion is that, really we're pretty much at the point where we should take a vote. There is a request chalker, or if anybody else could provide the data, any relevant data about the constructor usage in the ecosystem. I think otherwise, Rich, I guess you're suggesting maybe we just call a vote at this point? Like get that data and then call for a vote? What does anybody else think in terms of... So Nikita has commented that he has made a proposal 21351, and that basically he would like some comments on that as an option. So I guess what my recommendation would be is that maybe we allow this next week for discussion and we schedule a vote at the next meeting if we do not have consensus by then. Okay, so I'm just going to take notes, leave this week for discussion, but schedule vote. So Rich, are you suggesting we need to do that before next week? Just responding. Yeah, so I'm adding it in the minutes. That's okay. Leave this week for discussion, but schedule a vote for next week. Is that what you wanted in the minutes or something more? Okay, he's going to type in the minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so what I want to type or say, or what I want to appear in the minutes is that what I don't want to have happen is have us kick it back to GitHub for a week and then call a vote and nobody has thought about this, because that seems to be the running theme of everything that's been on the agenda today, is that nobody's prepared to talk about it. And this is an important issue that needs to be decided in a timely fashion because it needs to go in a release. And we need to get the word out to the community if we're going to do this. I personally suspect that we're not going to do this, and that's fine. But if we are going to do it, the decision has to be made soon, and the word has to get out quickly, and we can't push this to GitHub for a week, have nothing happen, and come back next week and be in exactly the same place where we are now. People need to actually look at this and come to their conclusions about where they stand on it.
I guess the alternative is we can call for a vote now, finalize the vote in the meeting next week. If that is any
I said what I had to say, and you don't have to put that in the minutes. I just need to get that out. Just need to get that out there.
Okay. Okay, so strong call for everybody to, review, weigh in, make a decision. And we'll plan to close it out next week. I think anybody else have any other comments on that one before we move forward?
I don't think we should do it, but that's my take.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'm leaning as well, and I'll comment in the issue this week.
Yeah, if you already know which way you're leaning, if you could put that in the issue, that will definitely expedite things when the vote happens. So that's a good thing to do.
Okay, the next issue then is update the Charter 569.
That one's mine. I'd prefer to defer it.
Okay, to next week?
Yeah, possibly 2 weeks out.
Okay. Okay, tracking issue 4, updating the TSC on board meetings. We don't have Miles, so skip. Strategic initiatives, let's just quickly flip over to that. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna have to be able to look at two things at the same time. So HTTP2, we don't have James, I'm just gonna go down the list until we have somebody who's here. So NAPI, still focusing on docs, but we're pretty much almost done there. Planning out next iteration milestone. Next milestone, which will focus on fleshing out tests and a few other things, including, of course, continued evangelization. Tests. Okay, next in the list is OpenSSL. We don't have Rod. Workers, error messages. Joey, anything new on the error messages front?
No.
Is it just still moving ahead, or is there, like, in terms of the C++ messages, are we making progress, or is it and just nothing of note?
There aren't much progress lately. So.
Okay. Okay. Core promise APIs, governance, James. Jeremiah's not here. V8 currency. So I think Michael, right. Okay, so no update there. Lots of people on holidays and stuff. We don't have a Lee or Miles. So, okay. I think that covers what we can cover on that front. So that takes us to the end of our regular agenda. Does anybody watching on the stream have any questions? Anybody have the stream up? Okay, I'm gonna try and find that then. Okay, I'm just looking now for where questions are. Where?
Francisco mentioned one question. Does Facebook hire Node.js developers?
I don't think that's a question that I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know if anybody else is on the call can answer that. Okay, I guess we don't know. I think, would have to be a good question for one of the contact pages or something like that on Facebook. Was there any other questions you saw there, Gabriel?
No, this is the only one, and it was forwarded to us by Francisca.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I guess if that's the end of the questions, we will call it for the meeting for today. Thanks to everybody who took the time to come out and participate and listen, and we'll talk to you all next week.
Bye.
Okay, I'm going to turn the stream off.